Hi, boys and girls. We are back in the garden again. We've got Millie. She's here showing us what we've got going today. We're going to do a little bit more about trees, and I'm going to show you some interesting things about what goes on inside a tree as it grows. What's up, Millie? You don't feel like walking around? She's been acting a little strange whenever she goes outside these days. Are you nervous? Come give the kids a boop. Say hi, boys and girls. Oh, there she goes. Good girl. Our story today is called Tell Me Tree, all about trees for kids. And it's written and illustrated by Gail Gibbons. Tell Me Tree, all about trees for kids. Trees are woody plants. Their trunks, limbs, and branches are their stems. Some trees are small, no bigger than a few inches tall. Others are big, and still others are huge. Trees grow almost everywhere, except where it is extremely cold or dry, or in places at high elevations. There are different kinds of trees. Trees need light, moisture, soil, and space to grow. Different trees grow in different environments. Some like very cold weather. Others like it where it's warm all year round. Some trees like wet places, and others grow in dry climates. So just like people have different preferences, so do trees and plants. Seeds. All trees, even the biggest, begin their lives as seeds. These seeds come in different shapes and sizes. Look at all these different kinds of seeds. A seed sprouts when a small root begins to grow. As the root absorbs waters and minerals, a tiny stem with just 2 small leaves begins to grow above the soil. A baby tree is called a seedling. In time, the stem becomes hard enough to be called wood. Small branches begin to appear as buds that turn into tiny leaves. The hard, woody stem is called the trunk. We know all of this, right? A trunk is covered by a hard layer of wood called bark. Bark protects the trees from weather and insects and animals that want to attack it. Different kinds of trees have different kinds of bark. Hard or soft, thick or thin. Underneath the bark is a thin layer called the phloem. The phloem carries the food made by the leaves to the branches, trunk, and roots of the tree. Next is the cambium layer. The cambium layer forms new growth for the trunk of the tree each year. And we're going to take a look at that up close. Inside a tree. The next layer, the sapwood, is made of tiny tubes that carry waters and minerals called sap from the roots to the leaves. The center of the tree is called the heartwood. It is dead and solid sapwood that gives the tree the strength to stand. So that's the oldest part of the tree in the middle. Roots grow from under the tree trunk down into the ground. Tiny root hairs at the tip of the roots take in water and minerals from the soil to help the trees grow. So you see those little root hairs? roots anchor a tree into the ground and help hold it upright. Most trees have as many roots below the ground as they have branches above. So whatever you see at the top of the tree, if your tree is healthy, is most likely happening underground. Leaves. The leaves of a tree make food for the tree to grow. The leaves pull up water from the roots and breathe in a gas from the air called carbon dioxide. Inside the leaves is a special substance called chlorophyll, right? That's the green stuff. The chlorophyll in the leaves gathers energy from the sun. It mixes with water and carbon dioxide to create food for the tree called sugar. This process is called photosynthesis, right? Millie taught us all about that. Trees use food from their leaves to grow new wood, branches, twigs, buds, leaves, seeds, nuts, and fruit. The fruit of trees is often sweet from the sugars that the leaves make. Trees need their food to stay alive and renew their growth, right? Because inside all of these fruits are seeds to make new trees. When leaves make their food, they also make a gas called oxygen. The leaves release the oxygen into the air. People and animals need oxygen to breathe. Most of the oxygen in the air comes from trees. Evergreens. Although leaves come in many different shapes and sizes, there are only two different groups of trees. There are evergreen trees, which have needles, and broadleaf trees, which have flat leaves. Most evergreens' needles are thin and scale-like. Because most evergreens keep their seeds inside cones, they are also called conifers. These trees lose their needles a few at a time throughout the year. Broadleaf trees have flatter and wider leaves. Many grow flowers and fruit and produce different kinds of seeds. Most broadleaf trees are deciduous. That means they lose their leaves in the autumn. Some of these leaves turn beautiful colors before they die in fall. And in the springtime, the broadleaf trees will grow new leaves. You can identify a tree by looking at the shape of its leaves. Some leaves are smooth-edged, some are rough-edged. Some are big and broad, some are very tiny. Some are wide, and some are small and thin. Right, so here's all of the trees. You can see all their leaves are differently shaped. We've got cherry trees and oak trees, beech, sugar maple, white pine, pin oak, canary palm, and walnut. Trees are used in many ways. They are harvested for their wood, to build homes, and to make furniture, crates, paper, pencils, thousands of things we use every day. We eat the nuts and fruit grown on trees too. Many animals and birds make their homes in trees. Millions of trees are cut down each year. It is important to harvest trees carefully and to make sure to plant new ones. Future growth is important because trees make oxygen for people and animals to breathe, and the roots hold the soil together to keep it from eroding. Also, trees just make the world a more beautiful place to live. And so now here are some ideas and crafts that they're giving us. And we've done a lot of these, right? So they talk about a tree journal, doing some leaf rubbing, doing some bark rubbing, drawing pictures of your tree, which is something we haven't done, but that's a good idea. And so we're going to actually do a little science craft today. I'm going to show you the inside of a tree up close, and then I'm going to show you something that you can do either if you have a very handy grown-up or if you are a good collector. So when I was putting together the order that we were going to read these tree books, I was looking through the book we just read, and the pages of the inside of the tree really struck me as being quite amazing. And I was very lucky to be able to go up to the cabin and be able to find examples that I think will really show you what the inside of a tree looks like. So the first one I have, this is from my own collection. So this is the inside of a tree. So inside, in the middle of every tree, is this hard, dark part called heartwood. And why it looks like that is because here's one of the trees that was growing in my garden, one of the baby trees. So this original piece right here that starts growing from the seed, when it gets big enough and tall enough and strong enough, this turns to wood, and that becomes the oldest wood inside the tree, and they call that the heartwood. So after this has grown enough and it's turned to wood, what happens is each year the tree grows in two ways. It grows taller, but it also grows wider. And the way that it does this, and you can see it in here, is it grows out ring by ring by ring by ring. So if you can get a clean cut on your tree and you can count these rings, you'll know how old your tree is. So let's see. This one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, about. Now, you'll notice some of the rings are really wide and some of the rings are really skinny. The years where you see very wide growth, that means there was a lot of rain and the tree was able to grow a great deal. So years where it's a little bit skinnier, you can assume that there was not a lot of rain. So I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to show you the other parts of the tree that the book talked about. All right, so you can see on the outside we've got the bark, right? That's the outside part that protects the tree from insect and disease. Then it's got this light layer right there. That's called the phloem. And the phloem is what takes the food that's made in the leaves and brings it all the way through the tree, right? Because the energy is made in the leaves, but then it's got to get all over the tree. And then this part in here is the part that's growing, the cadmium layer. And remember how we talked about xylem being those little tubes? You can really sort of see how on the inside, now they're hard, but when the tree is living, that's where the water comes. I don't know if you can see. So it's pretty neat. So if you're on a walk and you see a piece of tree fallen down, I would suggest you collect it because of what we're going to do next. So in the STEM lab at Amtree, we have something called tree blocks. And I ordered these for the STEM lab because I thought they were neat, and I knew eventually one day we would be doing this lesson. But even before I found them in a catalog, because you can buy them, I think we ordered these on Amazon. But even before that, I had my own collection of tree pieces. And some people call them tree cookies. And when we got this good set, I donated my old set to the outdoor play space at Amtree. But whenever you go out on a walk or a hike, or if you have a tree that needs to come down in your yard or in your neighbor's yard, you can save all of these pieces. And if you have a grown-up that has a saw, they can cut them up for you. Or you can just go around and collect all of the tiny pieces. And you can make yourself a set of natural blocks. Not only are they a lot of fun, but they require a little bit more skill and thinking when you're using them because they're not perfectly smooth. So most of these we bought, but some of these were Miss Annette's dad. When I first started teaching, well, when I first met Todd, he cut me a set of tree blocks because he has a wood shop up by the cabin, and so he used his tools and cut me a set. So some of these are from that and some of these are from what we ordered, but these are great because they are all different. So whereas when you work with regular blocks, you can get a hang of what works all the time, when you build with these tree blocks and these tree cookies, you have to sort of always be rethinking because their points of balance are not always the same. And they might actually go and roll a different way than you might expect because they're not perfect. They're not machine made. They're made from nature. So give it a try. You can go collect pieces of wood and use them as stacking. You can find someone who has a wood shop who would like to help you. And then even the children, when Annette's dad made these for me, we gave the children sandpaper and they got to sand down the blocks and make their own. And we had our own set. And like I said, this set was bought. I asked for it for Christmas. So have fun, enjoy, and send me pictures of all the cool things you build. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.